Hello and welcome to the first episode of KASA RPL, a realistic playthrough of Kerbal Space Program Career. This is originally recorded during a live stream that I did and continue to do on Thursdays at noon Pacific time, if you'd ever like to join me. Then I've gone ahead and went through and edited it, and now I'm dubbing over it. This is not going to be a historically accurate playthrough. I will be taking some cues from history, but for the most part, I'm just going to be winging it. With Kerbal Space Campaign, I was primarily focusing on high production value. With this series, I'm going to be focusing on repeatability and kind of overall ease of production. Hopefully, I can sustain this until late in the career. You should be able to expect episodes about once a week. I'm not going to let them accumulate too much. I will try to keep the episodes under a half an hour. I am going to go ahead and give you back to old me so he can talk about the tech tree. We have a few things to get. Some mystery goo and various other science things. Fairings and heat shields. Parachutes. Not all of these parachutes are working. I'm still kind of messing around with the install. And fuel tanks and engines. Mostly just the one fuel tank. We have some more engines over here. Some side fuel tanks. I had to go in and remove those warheads, because I do not really want those. Small fuel tank, decoupler, and wings. Also launch stability enhancers. And a launch clamp. Batteries, solar panel. Toroidal fuel tank. Some antennas, and our only control module. Then next we have early probes, early electronics, radiators, which will be useful for communication satellites when we start putting those up. Landing legs. I'm not sure we're going to be landing on anything anytime soon, other than back on Earth. Longer range communication satellite or antenna. It's 5 million meters. Plane parts, which I think we're going to skip over for the large part of this series. I don't know, they are only 10. We'll see how things progress. We'll want to get more engines for actually putting something in orbit. And we'll also need some reaction control eventually to be able to get something into a stable circularized orbit. Give a little bit of maneuvering. Early engineering. This is mostly cargo bays, more launch clamps, strut connector, docking ports, etc. How much is that? That is 10, so I will probably be getting that soon as well. Early staging, that gives us a bunch of decouplers. Fairings and adapters. That looks just like adapters to me, but okay. Let's go build our first rocket. We can select the VAB. There we go. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about early NASA history. Back at before the Mercury program, astronauts had seen quite a few launches of rockets similar to the one that you're seeing now, and they weren't too happy with their safety record. A lot of them would just blow up on the pad. Some of them would make it halfway. And overall success rate, I think, was around 60 to 70%. They wanted a good launch escape system to prevent, loss of life, as anyone would. So one of the first tests was Little Joe, and it was a test of the launch escape system. This is, as far as Wiki is concerned, the very first flight of the Mercury project. It happened back in August 21st of 1959. Half an hour before it was scheduled to launch, the launch escape system ignited, taking the capsule with it and leaving the rocket behind. I wish I had video of that, because that seems like you would not want to be the electrical engineer at that time. Wasn't a great way to start off the space program, but after 3 more successful tests over the next 3 months, they were able to successfully do a primate escape at high altitude. Since we don't yet have reaction wheels this early in the career, I have built this spacecraft to aerodynamically right itself and be stable through shock heating of re-entry. And I've kind of packed everything behind that shield just to make sure that we had transmitted everything. This spacecraft won't be recovered. I ended up waiting too long to deploy parachutes, and as you see, I've already lost connection. So I'm going to send you back to old me to talk about some purchases in the research and development department. Let's go back into our tech tree, and should we get Sputnik? Has an integrated 9.5 million meter antenna. Oh, stay up. Okay. That will give us extra data. We have 172. That's 5 million meter. Didn't I say that was? Yeah, that's 9. So it'd be better to put these in orbit than one of these. Let's go for decouplers. I probably want those struts, but I'm going to wait on them. Let's get some RCS fuel. I have that other engine that's really powerful. Although this F4 and the D42 are really nice. Okay, I'll grab Sputnik. And then what's this? Vanguard. Does that have a... Okay, that also has the 9.5 million meter antenna. I think I'm going to get that too. And what do we have? Luna 1 and 2, so we're not going to the moon just yet. Biosample recovery. Not sure why that's there, or that it was 0. Let me take a look of what it's supposed to be. Because I believe that was supposed to be filled out. Maybe not. Okay, so it does go up a level and then over. Alright. So yes, this one will go over 3, and then it'll go up 1 from the second one, I think. That's the way I just saw it. Radiators. Oh, there's the protractor. Could go for planes because it's just 10, but I'm going to go ahead and wait on that. 250 for a cathane detector. Alright, let's build something to... So here, the mission that I'm running right now, I am trying to go for an orbit. A little bit ambitiously. I wanted to touch a little bit on Kerbal Space Kampaign, which, in case you haven't followed my channel, is a series that I started last year after starting to play Kerbal Space Program. I developed some characters and was kind of going forth with the space program of under the guys that that the Kerbals themselves were actually playing it, and I like the premise of it, and I think it was a pretty good series, but it took me almost entirely a week to produce an episode. Like, it was taking all of my free time, and I just did not have the time to keep it up. And towards the end of the first season, I wasn't that interested in it as I originally was when I started. Of course, I guess that kind of goes without saying. You're always going to lose interest in something after you've done it. I would kind of like to revive it. I'd definitely do things differently. I would cut out the... I would probably cut out the vehicle assembly building, because that took a lot of time, and I don't think it added that much to the series. I'd like to have different people do the different voices and have different characters rather than just do all of the characters myself, because that's kind of a lot to keep track of. And I originally was going for, during the second season, I was planning to do 3D rendered characters and have them do animations and stuff like that. And I've kind of gone towards that, getting that set up with the Kinect, but it hasn't really got too much of my attention. I would like to eventually get back to Kerbal Space Campaign and continue with that series. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. Right now I'm really interested in this series and trying to figure out what it takes to do a long-running series, because I think that's kind of the challenge that I have to overcome right now, is figuring out how to continually do episodes that I'm interested in and make stuff that's interesting. So that will end this episode. I should be doing another episode here pretty soon. So until the next one, I can't see you. Bye.